beautiful bhajan by his Srila Narottam Das Thakur. So I'll read the purport to this beautiful bhajan, very nicely and devotionally sung by Saranga Thakur Prabhu. Its purport is just over 2 pages. Yeah, but it's amazing. Purport by His Divine Grace, C.C. Bhakti-Yoga Swami Prabhupada. This is a very nice song sung by Narottam Das Thakur. He advises Nitai Pada, the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Kamala means lotus and Pada means feet, are a shelter where one will get the soothing moonlight not only of one, but of millions of moons. We can just imagine the aggregate total value of the soothing shine of millions of moons. In this material world, Jagat, which is progressing towards hell, there is always a blazing fire, and everyone is struggling hard without finding peace. Therefore, if the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter under the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, which are cooling like the shining of 1,000,000 moons. Juraya means relief. If one actually wants relief from the struggle of existence and actually wants to extinguish the blazing fire of material pangs, Narottam Das Thakur advises, please take shelter of Lord Nityananda. What will be the result of accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda? He says, Nitai Bine Bhai, unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, Radha Krishna, Paitenai, it will be very difficult for him to approach Radha Krishna. The aim of this Krishna consciousness movement is to enable us to approach Radha Krishna and associate with the Supreme Lord in His sublime pleasure dance. Narottam Das Thakur advises that if one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha Krishna, he must accept the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Then he says, say Sambandha Nahi. Sambandha means connection or contact. Anyone who has not contacted a relationship with Nityananda is understood to have spoiled his human birth. In another song also, Narottam Das Thakur says, Hari Hari Vipale Janama Gonai Ino. Anyone who does not approach Radha Krishna through a relationship with Nityananda has uselessly spoiled his life. Brita means useless, Janma means life, Tahara means his, and Sambandha means relationship. Anyone who does not make a relationship with Nityananda is simply spoiling the boon of his human form of life. Why is he spoiling it? Say Pasu Bora Durachar. Say means that Pasu means animal and Durachar means misbehaved or the most misbehaved. Without elevation to Krishna consciousness, Through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, life is simply spoiled in the animal propensities of sense gratification. Narottam Das Thakur says that ordinary animals can be tamed, but when a human being is animalistic, having only animal propensities, he is most horrible, for he cannot be tamed. Ordinary cats and dogs, and even a tiger can be tamed. But when a human being goes out of his way and neglects to take to the human activity of Krishna consciousness, his higher intelligence will simply be misused for animal propensities, and it is very difficult to tame him. The enactment of state laws cannot make a thief an honest man, because his heart is polluted. He cannot be tamed. Every man sees that a person who commits criminal offenses is punished by the government, and also in scriptural injunctions, punishment in hell is mentioned. But despite hearing from scripture and seeing the action of the state laws, the demoniac cannot be tamed. What are they doing? Nitayana bolilo mukhe. Since they do not know who Nityananda is, they never say the names of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. Majilo samsara sukhe. Majilo means becomes absorbed. They become absorbed in so-called material enjoyment. They don't care who Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda are, and therefore they go deep down into material existence. Vidya kuleki kori betar. If one has no connection with Nityananda, and if he does not come to Krishna consciousness, his vidya, or his so-called academic education, and kula, birth in a high family or great nation, will not protect him. Regardless of whether one is born in a very big family or nation, or has a very advanced academic education, at the time of death, nature's law will act. His work will be finished, and he will get another body according to that work. Why are these human animals acting in this way? Ahankare mata hoya nitai pada bashariya. They have become maddened by the false concept of bodily life, and thus they have forgotten the eternal relationship with Nityananda. Asatyara satya kori mani. Such forgetful persons accept the illusory energy as factual. Asatyara refers to that which is not a fact, or in other words, Maya. Maya means that which has no existence, but is a temporary illusion only. Persons who have no contact with Nityananda accept this illusory body as factual. Narottam Das Thakur then says, Nitayer Koronahabe Braja Radha Krishna Pabe. If you actually want to approach the association of Radha Krishna, you must achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda first. When he is merciful towards you, then you will be able to approach Radha Krishna. Daro Nitai Charana Du Kani. Narottam Das Thakur advises that one firmly catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Then again he says, Nitai Charana Satya. One should not misunderstand and think that as he has caught hold of Maya, Similarly, the lotus feet of Nityananda may also be something like that Maya or illusion. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur confirms, Nitai Charana Satya, the lotus feet of Nityananda are not illusion, they are a fact. Tahara Sevaka Nitya, and one who engages in the transcendental loving service of Nityananda is also transcendental. If one engages in the transcendental loving service of Nityananda in Krishna consciousness, he immediately achieves his transcendental position on the spiritual platform, which is eternal and blissful. Therefore, he advises, Nitai Pada Sadakori Asha, always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Narottama Boroduki, Narottam Das Thakur, the Acharya, is taking the position that he is very unhappy. Actually, he is representing ourselves. He says, my dear Lord, I am very unhappy. Nitai Mora Korosuki. Therefore, I am praying to Lord Nityananda to make me happy. Rako Ranga Charanera Pasa. Please keep me in a corner of your lotus feet. It's one of the most beautiful purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-yoga Swami Prabhupada. Again and again glorifying Sri Nityananda Ram. So we shall read from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, Chapter 5, the Glories of Lord Nityananda Ram. There are preceding verses to the verse on the screen, so I'll read those preceding verses first. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gauda Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gauda Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gauda Bhakta Vrinda, on this most auspicious anniversary appearance of Sri Nityananda Ram, His Grace Pancha Gauda Prabhu will speak later on the actual appearance of Nityananda Ram in Ekachakagram and some pastimes thereof then. Right?
Whatever Lord Nityananda instructs us to talk about that.
So he has a direct relationship with Lord Nityananda, and he just told me whatever Lord Nityananda instructs him to say, he will say. So hopefully he can empower me to also be in that consciousness of receiving the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Can you do like that for me? Thank you very much. So the preceding verses are as follows. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chapter 5, the Glories of Lord Nityananda Baliram, text 149. You don't have to repeat after me. When we come to that verse, text 156, we will do that together. Nityananda Swarupa Purve Ahiya Lakshmana Lagu Brata Ayakare Ramera Sivana. Lord Nityananda Swarup formerly appeared as Lakshman and served Lord Ramachandra as his younger brother. Text 150. Ramera Charitra Sabha Dukera Karana Swatantra Lilaya Dukkha Sahena Lakshmana. The activities of Lord Rama were full of suffering, but Lakshman of his own accord tolerated that suffering. Text 151. Nisheda karite nare yate chotabai monadari rahe Lakshmana mane dukhapai. As a younger brother, he could not stop Lord Rama from his resolution, and so he remained silent, although unhappy in his mind. Text 152. Krishna avatare jaista haila sevara karana Krishna ke karaila nana sukha ashvadana. When Lord Krishna appeared, he, Balaram, became his elder brother to serve him to his heart's content and make him enjoy all sorts of happiness. Text 153. Rama Lakshmana Krishna Ramera Amsa Vishesha Avatara Kali Don He Don Hate Pravesha. Sri Ram and Sri Lakshman, who are plenary portions of Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram respectively, entered into them at the time of Krishna's and Balaram's appearance. Text 154. Sehi Amsalana Jaista Kanista Bimana Amsam Sirupe Shastre Karaya Vyakyana. Krishna and Balaram present themselves as younger brother and elder brother, but in the scriptures they are described as the original Supreme Personality of Godhead and His expansion. Text 155. Ramadimurti Shukala Niyamena Tistan Nanavataramakarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Sambhavat Parama Pumanyu Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who, by his various plenary portions, appears in the world in different forms and incarnations, such as Lord Rama, and who personally appears in his supreme original form as Lord Krishna. And here we are, text 156. You can repeat after me. Shri Chaitanya Sehi Krishna Nityananda Rama It's Rama, not Ram. Okay? Shri Krishna, Shri Chaitanya Sehi Krishna Nityananda Rama Nityananda Purna Kare Chaitanya Rakama
Sri Chaitanya Se Krishna Nityananda Rama Sri Chaitanya Se Krishna Nityananda Rama Nityananda Purna Kare Chaitanya Rakama Nityananda Purna Kare Chaitanya Rakama
Chaitanya Sai Krishna Nityananda Rama.
Sri Chaitanya Sai Krishna Nityananda Rama.
Nityananda Purnakare Chaitanya Rakama.
Nityananda Purnakare Chaitanya Rakama.
Matajis, Vaishnavis.
Sri Chaitanya Sai Krishna Nityananda Rama. Nityananda Purnakare Chaitanya Rakama. Sri Chaitanya Sai Krishna Nityananda Rama. Nityananda Purnakare Chaitanya Rakama.
And the word for word. Shri Chaitanya. Lord Shri Chaitanya. Say Krishna. That original Krishna. Nityananda. Lord Nityananda. Rama. Balarama. Nityananda. Lord Nityananda. Purnakare. Fulfills. Chaitanya Rakama. All the desires of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just to let you know that because of this particular verse from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada established the deities of Sri Sri Krishna Balaram here in Vrindavan in relationship to Sri Sri Gaura as being non-different on this particular verse. So I thought it was appropriate to read from this. And in the translation you can repeat after me. Lord Chaitanya is the same Lord Krishna. And Lord Nityananda is Lord Balaram. Lord Nityananda fulfills all of Lord Chaitanya's desires. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Once one interviewer asked Srila Prabhupada, because prior to that Srila Prabhupada used to speak in his lectures about the goal of life. So obviously an interviewer, if he comes to interview Srila Prabhupada, he does his homework. And he reads about Srila Prabhupada and what he has to say and what's his message. So generally this word goal of life is not really used well in the material world. They say, what is your goal? But they generally say, what is your goal of life? So Prabhupada coined that words. So the interviewer asked Srila Prabhupada, so what is the goal of life? And Srila Prabhupada immediately replied in relationship to his nature of his consciousness in the material world. And Srila Prabhupada immediately replied, the goal of life is to enjoy. And he really liked that, the interviewer. And then Srila Prabhupada indicated that materially you cannot enjoy. Only spiritually you can enjoy. And Srila Prabhupada went to actually take this name, Nityananda. Nitya means, come on? Eternal, yes. Always, yeah. And Ananda means to enjoy. Yeah. So, by its very name of that personality, Nityananda, he gives enjoyment in spiritual life. And that enjoyment doesn't have a beginning and an end. It is eternal. So, in this nice group of verses that we read, there is an internal reason why the Lord Nityananda appeared. And the internal reason begins with Lakshman in Rama Leela. And the particular verses that we have read is that Lakshman's life was actually full of suffering and not really enjoyment in a way. And the first suffering that Lakshman experienced is that he used to be the first one to get darshan of Lord Ramachandra before marriage and make him rise from bed. But after marriage, that service was taken away. By whom? Sita. He's lost. His suffering started. But rather, he used to give his first darshan in the morning to Urmila, which he wasn't really inclined to do because his first service was to Lord Ramachandra. Like that. And then in the forest, when Marichi came and impersonated the crying sounds of Lord Ramachandra that help, Lakshman, Sita, please help me. Ramachandra killed him, obviously, for impersonating his voice and so forth. But Sita heard this. And we know that Sita pleaded to Lakshman, go and help your brother. Go and help him. But Lakshman, in full of hesitation, because he got an order from Lord Ramachandra that my instruction to you is that you never leave Sita, you always protect her. So he had to break the order of Lord Ramachandra to him, leave Sita protected by that circle famously called Lakshman Rekha, and went to so-called help Lord Ramachandra. But when he came back, would Lord Ramachandra back to the hermitage? What happened? No Sita. Again he was plunged into a suffering condition. Because of my fault, Sita disappeared. And he went into full of grief. Then finally, when Hanuman went to bring Sita from Ashokvan in Lanka, of course that was the Maya Sita. So when Maya Sita was walking towards Lord Ramachandra, immediately Ramachandra said, stop. Don't take any one more step forward. So Sita asked, why? Lord Ramachandra said, I did not appear to rescue you. I appeared to uphold the dharma of the Raghu dynasty. First dharma, then family. But anyway, You were away for so many months, at least 4 months or so, and you were in another man's palace. I don't know what happened. I cannot accept you. So immediately, Maya Sita looked at Lakshman. And Lakshman looked at Lord Ramachandra. And Ramachandra, without speaking, he said, go ahead. So Sita instructed Lakshman, light fire. So that same Agni Astra that made the Lakshman Rekha, he took his arrow from his quiver and he shot it into the ground and fire came. But he was grieving. Lakshman was grieving that, I have to do this? It's too much. First she took away my service to make Ramachandra rise early. Secondly, is because of listening to her, I had to go to help my brother, and when I came back, she disappeared. And my brother was plunged into grief like a hen-pecked husband. Prabhupada said like that. Crying out, Sita, Sita, where are you? And now this, I have to light fire for you to commit suicide. It's too much. But we know with Maya Sita entered the fire, and the actual Sita from the Kurma Puran mentioned in the Chaitanya was brought by Agni on the lap of Swaha, because Agni cannot touch Sita, only goddess can touch. And Agni on the lap of Swaha entered that same fire, and then the actual original Sita walked out. Then Ramachandra said, you can touch my feet. And let us go with the Vimana to Ayodhya. At that time, Lakshman took a vow. This is too much to be a younger brother. Too much. Younger brother means submissive. Follow all the instructions of my elder brother and my sister-in-law. Too much. It's too much of a service. And that's not all. So when that washerman accused his wife, for one night you went without telling me? No, there was emergency in my mother's house. No, I don't know what happened. Do you think that I'm like Lord Ramachandra? That for 4 months she was away and he accepted her again? Go. So when Lord Ramachandra heard this, immediately he called for who? Called for Lakshman. Lakshman, please come, I have some service for you. What is that service? And Sita was with child, love and kush. Transcendental pregnancy. Love and kush. And immediately, Lakshman said, what do I have to do? Now, you take Sita and you leave her at the edge of the forest and you come back. Lakshman said, this is too much. How can I leave her unprotected? Can't I stay with her in a distance? And besides that, she's with children. Love and kush, twins. Lakshman, that time, after he left Sita in the forest, and we know the pastimes, that time he said, definitely, being younger brother is too painful for me. And he took a vow. And then, in the next appearance, Ramachandra appeared as? Lord Ramachandra appeared as Krishna. But it's the original Krishna. So the form of Ramachandra entered into the form of Krishna. That's how it works. Because Krishna is avatari, he's not an avatar. He's the original. And Lakshman entered into the form of Balaram. So Balaram is wondering, although Balaram, is Samvit as well as the Sandini potency. See? Like Samvit is knowledge-giving potency as the original spiritual master that helps one transition from material to spiritual life through transcendental knowledge. Samvit. And Sandini means that Balaram expands as the entire Dham, even the Chintamani, dust of Vrindavan, including Krishna's pillow, Krishna's flute, he expands. But that is only the energetic expansions of Balaram. So Balaram approaches Krishna. Please give some service. Krishna says, how? You are elder brother? I have to serve you. So Balaram is wondering, was I a younger brother before? And he's feeling, if I was a younger brother, then it's easy to serve my elder brother, which was in the form of Lakshman. But he was complaining like anything, that he was suffering. Now he is an elder brother, he does not get any direct service, except that indirect service through his forms, expanded forms, as the Dham, Sandini potency. So he has a bigger problem. And that bigger problem is that he gets depressed. He gets depressed. Now in his depression, as much as Krishna expands as Radharani for transcendental pleasure, just as the sun extends its rays, and the rays of the sun or the sunshine is non-different from the sun. Although it is different, but it is non-different, because the sun cannot experience its own rays, although it's emanating from the sun. So similarly, when Radha emanates from Krishna, from the sun's rays, Krishna cannot experience Radharani's love for him, just as the sun cannot experience its own sunshine, although it comes from it. It's quite a transcendental exchange. Different but non-different. So just as Krishna expands as Radharani for transcendental pleasure, similarly Balaram in his deep depressed state wants to give transcendental pleasure to Radha and Krishna. Comes forth a form, Ananga Manjari. And Ananga Manjari is in Radha Krishna Ganada's Dipika by Srila Rupa Goswami. Ananga Manjari is accepted as the younger, little, not just younger, but younger, little sister of Radharani. And she immediately comes and she massages Radharani's lotus feet and offers sandalwood paste both to Radha and Krishna. So Balaram's depression becomes like sort of, if you can put an analysis to it, it's like sort of Balaram's depression becomes like 50% satisfied. Now I am serving the divine couple, my brother and my brother's consort, Radha, through the services of my expansion called Ananga Manjari. It is described by Srila Rupa Goswami in Radha Krishna Ganada's Dipika and other places that this Ananga Manjari is a combined form of the consorts of Balaram, who are, who are Revati and Varuni. Revati and Varuni. Yes, the combined form of Revati and Varuni is the form which is the original form, which is called Ananga Manjari. But Balaram is still depressed. 50%. Because he's serving not directly but indirectly. So that depression of Balaram affects Krishna. Because Krishna is super sensitive. He feels my elder brother is not happy. And when Krishna becomes depressed because of Balaram's depression, then who else becomes depressed? Radharani. And Radharani exactly knows why Krishna is depressed, because of Balaram's depression. So Krishna feels, I have to do something to please my brother and satisfy him. But I cannot directly accept service from him. So in Krishna's depression, he gets a double depression, because he feels that how is this Radharani serving and worshipping me, and I cannot experience her service and love for me, and she's enjoying billions and trillions of times more than me by serving me. I want that also. So from Balaram's depressions creates a greed in Krishna's consciousness to experience Radharani's love for Krishna. And we know that transformation becomes the form of Lord Chaitanya. As Lord Chaitanya, he can fulfill the desires of Balaram to serve Radha and Krishna. So Balaram serves Radha and Krishna. Famously, Srila Prabhupada used to quote, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. And Prabhupada uses a beautiful term in teachings of Lord Chaitanya. The unification of Radha Krishna. What he calls it? Unification. Amazing, beautiful word. The unification of Radha Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya fulfills Balaram's desires 108%. And therefore Balaram becomes the form of Lord Nityananda, who serves Lord Chaitanya, who Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. That is why Lord Nityananda appeared, for the internal reason. Now, what is the greatest gift of Lord Nityananda? Because the internal reason is that he is serving Radha Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya directly. But if that personality who is directly serving Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada actually said in the lecture on Ekadashi day, which we heard in the temple room, beautiful lecture, Srila Prabhupada. So when we were hearing the lecture, Srila Prabhupada said in that lecture, 2 days ago, here in the temple room, Srila Prabhupada said, so Krishna comes personally, and then Prabhupada said, and then Krishna also sends his representative, and then Srila Prabhupada said, and then Krishna comes in the form of a devotee also. In that lecture, beautifully, just 3 lines, and it struck me, wow. Krishna comes personally, Krishna sends his representative, and Krishna comes as a devotee. As a devotee. So all 3 are there in relationship to the appearance of Lord Nityananda, in relationship to Radha Krishna, who is a devotee, in the form of Lord Chaitanya. Very, very amazing. Such simplicity of Srila Prabhupada. It's just 3 lines, such simplicity. And the whole spiritual truth is there. Satyam Param Dhimya. The entire absolute truth is there. Amazingly enough. So now, if Lord Nityananda is directly serving Radha Krishna in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this beautiful bhajan, Nitai Pada Kamala, that we sang before we began the class today. Srila Prabhupada is such It's just too amazing, like that. It's it's just too amazing. So this is not in my notes, but I heard it, somewhere else. It just came into my consciousness now. Because in 26 Avenue, in the early days, probably, 1966 and 1967. So some of the new persons, they heard of this 26 Avenue Matchless Gift Storefront Temple. So they were going through this, in India, you call it nightclubs also. Like people go all night doing whatever they're doing in the animal propensities in the human form. Like that. So towards the early morning, they're coming out of those places. And one young girl, she was probably intoxicated or drugged or whatever. She was walking past 22nd Avenue. But she was hearing this morning, ching, 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 kirtan going on. And Prabhupada used to start at a little later, not Mangalati time, 4:30 now, but like maybe 7 o'clock in the morning, in the early days, Because for them to rise early, it'll be too much, they won't come back, Because they don't sleep all night, so how they can rise early? So they're still coming out of this, entire state of Maya upon Maya. Prabhupada used to call it, the mode of tamagun is dark. Prabhupada used to call it when he used to see the consciousness. He says, this is the darkest of the darkest. But this young girl came in to 22nd Avenue. She just like stumbled in. She didn't know what she was, where she walked into, because she was in another state of consciousness, which we don't want to describe. She just stumbled in. But she came with the consciousness of sort of dancing in these clubs or something. Now you don't see it in the club, you see it all over the place, even outside. So she walked into 22nd Avenue and she started, she was like intoxicated. And she was dancing and dancing, and she was not really dancing now, she was like, the English word you could call it something closer to like gyrating. Really like dancing in a way that's sensual. Like you can agitate a man's senses. But Prabhupada, when he was chanting, he had his eyes closed. Hare Krishna, Hare, he has his eyes closed, he was chanting. And big Brahmananda Prabhu at that time was on the side. And when Brahmananda Prabhu was relating this, he was looking at Prabhupada and he was looking at, and she was right in front of Srila Prabhupada. In front of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada didn't look, his eyes were closed. So Brahmananda was thinking, maybe I should just catch her and just throw her out of the door. Because, she's agitating the senses of the other devotees, plus it's like, she's not even chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, she just stumbled in and she's dancing to the beat. Prabhupada had his eyes closed and he stopped playing his kartals, and Prabhupada just told Brahmananda, like that. Then Brahmananda got the sign from Prabhupada. And Prabhupada has his eyes closed. And Brahmananda said, I was surprised, Prabhupada. So when Prabhupada, ended the kirtan, she was still moving a little bit in that state, but she became sober. So the Maha Mantra made her sober. And immediately she looked, where am I? Where am I? How did I land in this place? Where am I? Then Prabhupada spoke something. He spoke something. Somehow or the other, when Prabhupada asked, "You have any questions?" this lady shot her hand up. Brahman was ready. Brahmananda was ready to throw out. Prabhupada says, she asked one question. Imagine this personality, just by seeing Prabhupada, just by dancing in intoxicated state, becoming sober, and hearing Prabhupada chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. You can imagine who Prabhupada is. You cannot even imagine, probably. She asked one question. Because that's the mood she's in. Like that. She only asked one question relative to her consciousness, which is not on the absolute platform, but it is on the absolute platform because she's connecting the question to Srila Prabhupada. She asked one question. Can I dance with your, what is that person? Can I dance with your, what is that person? Prabhupada said, Krishna. She said, yes. Hare. Can I dance with your Hare Krishna? And everyone in the room, they only knew who is Krishna because of Srila Prabhupada. They only knew who was Krishna because of Srila Prabhupada. They knew that she's asking a question like that. Yeah. And Prabhupada only answered in one word. Yes. And she sat down. So Brahmananda, Gargamuni and everyone else, we are with Swamiji for almost 2 years. He doesn't even give us this benediction. She just walks in and she doesn't know who this Krishna is. We are serving nicely. We love, Swamiji. He wasn't called Prabhupada then. But Prabhupada benedicted her. For all my sadhana and my chanting in the last 38 years since I joined ISKCON, nobody gave me a benediction like that. And in the purport to Narottam Das Thakur's song, Prabhupada is saying, amazing. Prabhupada is saying, amazing. What will be the result of accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda? He says, Eno Nitai Bina Bhai, unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, Radha Krishna Paitenai, it will be very difficult for him to approach Radha Krishna. I know that's very difficult for me personally. The aim of this Krishna consciousness movement is to enable us to approach Radha Krishna and associate with the Supreme Lord in his sublime pleasure dance. Narottam Das Thakur advises that if one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha Krishna, he must accept the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Now I want to make a comparison. And this comparison is warranted and it will glorify Lord Nityananda in relationship to Srila Prabhupada. What is that famous instruction that Lord Nityananda received from Lord Chaitanya? Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Koro Krishna Shiksha. This is in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. You go out. Lord Chaitanya is saying, you go out. Bolo Krishna, chant Krishna's name. Bhaja Krishna, worship Krishna. Bolo Krishna, Shiksha. And tell them Krishna's instructions. And to do that through the process of chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now Lord Nityananda is directly serving Radha and Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling Lord Nityananda, Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna. And Krishna Shiksha. That means everyone knows who is Krishna. Even those who are not devotees of Krishna, to get that kind of instruction. But with Srila Prabhupada, going to 22nd Avenue, do they know who's Krishna? They don't know. They never heard of such a personality. So how much more difficult to tell somebody, chant Krishna's name, worship Krishna's name. They'll ask you, who is this Krishna? Who is this Krishna? But during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time and the preaching of Lord Nityananda, they can easily say people, please chant Krishna. Oh yeah, I know Krishna, I'll chant his names. How difficult it was for Srila Prabhupada. So therefore he is well known, Srila Prabhupada is well known as the embodiment of the compassion of Sri Nityananda Ram. He's well known for that. No one else did what he did. No one else did what he did. And to benedict just this innocent girl who was innocent in her ignorance, coming out from some place, intoxicated and walking in, yes. Can I dance, with your Hare Krishna? Yes. Now such compassion, unheard of. Completely unheard of. And as a result, we are sitting here in this beautiful, most beautiful temple under the shade of the lotus feet of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Yoga Swami Prabhupada, who gave us Shishi, Shishi Gaur Nitai, in respect and relationship to Krishna Balaram, and that same Lord Nityananda, there's no rasabas, is serving Radha Shyamasundar in the form of Lord Chaitanya. So the Srila Prabhupada is unfathomable. We may figure out Lord Nityananda's mercy, but to figure out Srila Prabhupada's compassion, it's not possible. It is boundless, no boundaries, and it has no depth. There's no depth. Boundless and no depth. So we'll give you one pastime of this in relation to Srila Prabhupada in connection with Lord Nityananda. And this is given to us by His Holiness Giriraj Swami. And he mentions a similar pastime in his book, his latest book called I'll Build Your Temple, The Jew Who Started, which is available. It's available, right? You can get a copy here, which is printed by the Australian BBT, deluxe version, 800 pages, 40 color photos, all of Prabhupada's Leela in one place in Juhu in Mumbai. And everything that Srila Prabhupada trained his disciples in one place there. From dealing with politicians, to management, to book distribution, to fighting amongst devotees and how to deal with that. Everything is there. So that book. So there's one particular pastime that happened, and I'll just read it for you. I'm paraphrasing it from his manuscript, not actually from the book. So it may be a little bit more, but then also it may be a similar pastime at another instance. So His Holiness Giriraj Swami recalls, when we were with Srila Prabhupada at Kartikeya Mahadevya's house in Mumbai, Bombay, before securing the Juhu land, he was staying in another place. Srila Prabhupada received a phone call from the temple president in Calcutta, who informed Srila Prabhupada that one of Srila Prabhupada's oldest disciples had fallen into difficulty in India and was smoking ganja. Srila Prabhupada told the authority to tell him that if he didn't stop smoking ganja, Srila Prabhupada would reject him immediately. When Srila Prabhupada got off the phone, Tamal Krishna Goswami asked, Srila Prabhupada, is it true that you will reject him if he doesn't stop smoking ganja? Ganja means marijuana. Srila Prabhupada replied, no, I cannot reject anyone. Then Tamal Krishna Goswami questioned Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada, don't you have to draw the line somewhere? Is there not some limit? Then Srila Prabhupada said, no, the mercy of Lord Nityananda is unlimited. His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Kodi Vaishnav Vrinda ki, Shri Nityananda Ram ki, Shri Nityananda Ram Mahamotsav ki, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So now we'll hear from His Grace Pancha Gauda Prabhu.
You're doing such a good job, you could give me.
He said, I'm doing such a good job, I should continue. It's not a job. It's in that sense, yeah, it's a duty that we have to also hear from you. So can we do that, please? Please come. His Grace Pancha Gauda Prabhu ki.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Shri Nityananda Ram ki jai. It's a very special day, and I received a little something from Ishvara Prabhu. 8 songs glorifying Lord Nityananda, Nityananda Astakam, from Vrindavan Das Thakur. I'll just read the translation. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of Krishna Bhakti tree, whose bright face mocks the full autumn moon, whose pure complexion glistens, whose gait is like that of a maddened elephant, who is always intoxicated in Krishna prema, who embodies pure spiritual energy, whose face holds a gentle smile, whose eyes are always rolling due to his absorption in Krishna prema, whose lotus hands holds a glowing staff, and who, by the performance of Nam Sankirtan, pierces the influences of Kali Yuga. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who is the mainstay of all the rasas, who is everything to his devotees, who is beyond compare, who is the master of both Vasudha and Janavadevi, who consider him more dear than their own lives, who is always maddened in Krishna prema, and who is unknown only to those of meager intelligence. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who is very dear to Sri Satyanandana, who is worshipped by the entire universe, who is the embodiment of happiness, who possesses infinite mercy for delivering the souls who are drowning in the age of Kali, and who, by the performance of Sri Harinam Sankirtan, thwarts the progressing false pride of the ocean of repeated birth and death. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who said to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, "Hey brother Gauranga, what will be the destination of the sinful souls of Kali Yuga, and how will they be redeemed? Please devise a method by which they will easily attain you." I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who wandered around Bengal and approaching the door of each and every home, threw open his arms and exclaimed, "O brothers, all of you should eternally perform Sri Harinam Sankirtan together. By doing so, I will take the responsibility to deliver you all from the ocean of material existence." I eternally worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who is the Agastya Muni, who forcibly swallows the ocean of repeated birth and death, who is a rising full moon, which increases the ocean of the saintly person's welfare, and who is a sun, which dissipates the darkness of ignorance cast by the various classes of miscreants. I eternally worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the tree of Krishna Bhakti, who wandered on every path in Bengal dancing, singing, and calling out, "Haribo, Haribo," and who lovingly bestowed merciful, sidelong glances upon those who were not compassionate to even their own selves. I eternally worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who held the supremely soft lotus hand of his brother, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, whose heart became filled with the highest bliss when the two brothers gazed into each other's faces, and who wandered here and there, delighting the town people with his sweetness. May Sri Nityananda Prabhu place his lotus feet in the heart of one who lovingly recites this unprecedented Nityanandastika, which is the reservoir of rasa, the greatest treasure of the most exalted of Rasika Vaishnavas, and the storehouse of the essence of Bhakti Rasa. This astika is sung in the melody known as Shikarini. Sri Nityananda Rama Ki Jai. So I feel very honored to be able to say a few words. Lord Nityananda, Srila Prabhupada installed Shri Krishna Balaram and inaugurated a mandir specifically for the purpose of glorifying the descent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda appeared Eka Chakra. I think Radhanath Maharaj was giving one lecture saying that auspicious places to appear is near the holy Ganges, Jamuna, but Eka Chakra was in a little bit remote area. So Lord Nityananda had a special mission. He was to carry the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to save the most fallen souls, the age Kali Yuga. This is very difficult to understand, all the different pastimes of the Lord. We're hearing how Lakshman was not happy to have to perform so many difficult tasks. But the Lord appears and we can't try to understand why is it that he's experiencing what he's experiencing and how those expressions are given, described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But we are hearing that Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratashe Namaha, the most merciful incarnation. But the Lord, He's empowering Himself in the form of Lord Nityananda, because Lord Nityananda is the Supreme Lord Himself. Balaram is the Supreme Lord Himself. Srimati Radharani is the Supreme Lord herself. So for us to try to rationalize in our brain, how is it all these different personalities are the Supreme Lord in different moods, in different rasas, in different expressions of love? Because we're only accustomed to mundane relationships in this world, and we're all looking for happiness through these relationships. And we, of course, hearing Krishna Leela, how Krishna Balaram appeared to kill or annihilate the miscreants and demons, and to establish the process of religion, what is the religious principles. Lord Ramachandra appeared for that, to show what is an ideal emperor, how to live the life in such a way, to follow the rules and regulations of Scripture. So in this particular Kali Yuga that we're living, we have Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are Krishna and Balaram themselves, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his youth, in Ekachakra, was performing with all his friends all the pastimes that we hear about Krishna, with the cart and the putana, and the different activities that the cowherd boys were performing in Krishna Leela. Lord Nityananda was performing these incredible pastimes with all his friends, and everyone was asking, how do you know all these things? Oh, these were my activities in the past. And even they performed the Ram Leela. And he told his friends that after I have a certain, during the Leela, I will faint or lose consciousness, then you have to go get the medicine. Hanuman should do that. So it was so realistic that everyone was amazed at Lord Nityananda's ability to perform such pastimes. But due to his potency, people couldn't understand, who is this Lord Nityananda? They were just very much attracted to his beauty. Harai Pandit, his father, he would never even leave the sight of Lord Nityananda. His whole heart was dedicated. But then that traveling sannyasi came. And so after the sannyasi was to leave, Hadai said, how can I serve you? What can I do for you? Oh, I am traveling alone. I just need to maybe take your son with me for a few days. Come back. So, and then he was like shocked, like he's asking for my life. He asked Padmavati, his wife, whatever, you decide what to do. So being Brahmanically and very culturally dedicated, they thought it's our duty. So Lord Nityananda, he traveled to all the holy places. He's awaiting when Lord Chaitanya will call, when it's ready for that. And the description is there of all the holy places. Just like Balaram, to avoid the Kurukshetra war, he traveled to various holy places and performed incredible activities, setting examples. Roma Harshan did not properly respect him, so with a little kusha grass, he killed him. And there was many other pastimes when Lord Balaram performed his activities. So Lord Nityananda, traveling from holy place to holy place, ended up in Vrindavan, Mathura Vrindavan. Just see how lucky we are. We're sitting here in Vrindavan Dham. Lord Nityananda was here performing pastimes. Krishna Balaram were here performing pastimes. And actually, for one who has the vision, they're still here. Krishna's present everywhere. It's a matter of maturing our vision. So it's difficult to give the full itinerary of, because of the limited time, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's ready to now meet Lord Chaitanya. So he went to Nandanacharya's house in Navadvip, and Lord Nityananda was very excited, very happy. And it's not like, well, Krishna as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, God is God, how he can, worship himself or have a relationship with himself. It's a little bit complex in that sense. But the Lord, in order to perform these pastimes, these loving exchanges, these emotions, we heard very elaborately and expertly how Maharaj described why Lord Chaitanya appeared, to experience that intense relationship that Srimati Radharani and Krishna, what is that love that Srimati Radharani has for Krishna? I want to experience that. It's not that he can't, but somehow or other, to save the fallen conditioned soul, to save all of us, because we're eternally part of Krishna. We have a relationship with Krishna. We've come from the spiritual world. I know there was a time back in the 90s, there was a few people who were feeling, oh no, not a leaf falls from Vaikuntha, and many philosophical commentators say this, that, this, and everything else. But Srila Prabhupada, throughout his lectures and teachings, said that we belong in the spiritual kingdom. Somehow we've left that spiritual kingdom. We find ourselves in this material world embodied because we're trying to look for that happiness that we've somehow left Krishna in the spiritual kingdom. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told all his associates that a very special personality is here. You go look for him. Who did he send? Haridas Thakur and Gadadhar, I believe. Two of his associates were sent to find this person, and they went to all the different places throughout Navadvip. 9 hours they searched, they couldn't find anybody. So Lord Chaitanya, he brought all his associates to Nandana Acharya's house. And when Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met, the exchange was a tremendous pouring of love. Very difficult to describe. I remember we had one Gaur Mandala Parikram back in the 90s, and all the devotees were very ecstatic, and the kirtan and chanting, dancing, and sometimes even rolling in the dust and trying to touch each other's feet. Not in imitation, but the mood was like that. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was trying to glorify Lord Nityananda, and Lord Nityananda was glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, trying to get the dust and remnants. And there are many places where Lord Chaitanya, just as Krishna was respecting or honoring Balaram, oh, these trees are bowing down to you, offering their fruits to you, Lord Balaram, because you're the Supreme Lord. In the same way Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was glorifying Lord Nityananda. But Lord Nityananda, he was feeling in the mood of service, that no, I want to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what is that service? That service is that Lord Nityananda was showing his compassion. The famous story of Jaghai and Madhai. Many stories are there of Lord Nityananda bestowing mercy. But Jaghai and Madhai, we can relate to them because in Kali Yuga, so many drunkards, woman hunters, thieves, very crippled-minded people, cheaters, people who want to exploit, thinking, and always in an intoxicated state. Everyone was fearful of them, always avoiding their association, And in New York City, right near our 2nd Avenue, I had a place there right near the Hell's Angels. And people would, when they were walking down the street, they saw they would cross the street to go somewhere else, because oftentimes if you touched their motorcycle or something, they would beat you. And this is how Jagai and Madai were. They were always looking for a fight and always looking to harass or steal and pilfer. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent Nityananda and Haridas, you go out and preach, and you give everyone this message of remembering Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Lord Chaitanya sent Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, and they were asking, who are these drunkards? Oh no, these are bad people, stay away from them. All the local people were advising. But Lord Nityananda, he thought he'd give it a shot and tried. Jagai and Madhai, they didn't appreciate very much the attempt of Lord Nityananda. So they were chasing Nityananda and Haridas was saying, you always get me in trouble, Lord Nityananda. They're like running away, like as if Lord Nityananda had to run away. He could immediately killed them on the spot. But the Leela thickens, and Jagai and Madhai, in their intoxicated state, were looking to, and they were, they're gonna kill us, they're gonna kill us. And many of you who have been on Sankirtan may have had experiences like that. I remember one time back in the 70s, I was traveling with Tatpadarsha. We were in Texas, and we were doing, going store to store, club to club, everything, the Christmas time. And the owner, he came with a gun and was threatening to kill. And Tatpadarsha, being bold the way he is, he started to tell him, Lord Nrsimhadev is going to rip you apart, I'm sitting in the van, and at any rate, it gets intense sometimes trying to spread the message of Godhead, preaching, distribution. I'm sure there are many Sankirtan stories. So this Sankirtan story was Jagai and Madhai, but somehow Nityananda and Haridas made it without getting killed. But Lord Nityananda was saying, listen, brother, you're sending us out and it's actually your fault. So at any rate, Nityananda told Haridas Thakur that this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order, that we are to go and spread the message of Godhead. So that particular story, when Jagai and Madhai were causing so much trouble, they encountered Lord Nityananda. And we know that Madhai did not like the answer. He said, who are you? He says, what's your name? Avadut. He said, my name is Avadut. So he took the clay pot and hit Lord Nityananda. It was bleeding, and everyone was completely astonished. But Jagai stopped him to do again. He go, why you want to hurt this sannyasi, this person? Not that he was any better than Madhai, but somehow he was inspired by Lord Chaitanya to perform this act. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard that Lord Nityananda was injured, he immediately came with Sudarshan Chakra in hand to annihilate Jagai and Madhai. But Lord Nityananda prayed to him. He said, no, in this incarnation, we want to save them, all these fallen souls. So when Lord Chaitanya understood that Jagai stopped Madhai from further damage, he embraced Jagai and immediately became totally transformed and purified by the very touch of the Lord. And then Madhai got a little thinking, oh, what have I done? And he also begged for mercy. But there are prayers by Madhai. He was praying that, like many of us, we know what our activities were, and Srila Prabhupada, like Lord Nityananda, was sent out. You go to Bangladesh, you go to Bengal, you go to every person, and you give them the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, give them mercy of the holy name. So Srila Prabhupada was sent by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in the same way to the land of uncivilized meat-eaters, drunkards, woman hunters, thieves, rogues. This is very prominent. Every single person practically who doesn't understand what is the religious principles, what is the goal of life, the purpose of life. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada, by his, when he arrived, he prayed, I don't know why you brought me to this degraded place, but I'm your puppet. You make me dance as you like, my Lord. So Lord Nityananda was feeling like the puppet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that this is our duty, this Sankirtan Yagna, this sacrifice of spreading the message of Godhead, because Krishna is a person, loving person, and the complexity of all the activities that go on in the spiritual world, all the loving relationships, everything is beautiful, blissful, Vaikuntha planets, Goloka Vrindavan, but then the Lord expands, Lord Balaram's next expansion, Karanodakshai Vishnu, the Mahatattva, the small section of the spiritual world, just 1/4 of the whole existence, just to give us a comparison. And then the Lord, not only Karanodakshai Vishnu, manifests all those universes, but then he enters into each universe as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And then within the universe, he creates Shweta Dweep, or Kshirodakshai Vishnu. The Lord just keeps expanding himself and expanding himself. For what purpose? Because we want to enjoy, due to our individuality. Demigods enjoy on a certain level. In the material world, there are unlimited universes. Within this one particular universe, there are unlimited planets, heavenly planets, godly planets. There are beings who live millions of years. What is the life of Brahma, of the various Manus, the different demigods? And then lesser demigods. Now this little earthly planet, a tiny little speck floating in space. People think, no, there's no God. The sun has been radiating heat and light since time immemorial. We're in darkness. If it wasn't for the sunlight and so-called electrical panels burn out, it's complete darkness. What good is the eyes if you cannot see? Oh, I'll turn on my flashlight. No, it's not like that. So one who's totally unintelligent will not inquire as to who am I, what is the purpose of life. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda are like the sun and moon risen simultaneously to want to bring this awakening that don't waste your time in this material existence. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij, that you've been in the higher planets, the heavens, you were demigods, heavenly personalities, down to hellish planets, little creatures, just 8,400,000 species of life. Imagine little worms in stool. And of course there's the degraded civilizations, they still have them, like the dog eaters and pig eaters. Prabhupada was hearing a lecture. In some places they keep the pigs and they grow them and they sometimes sell them, but then sometimes they cook them alive while the pig is screaming, and they think nothing of it. This is how covered over we become embodied in this material world due to our perverted desires to enjoy, or looking for that happiness that we cannot achieve in this world. That happiness is not available on the mundane material platform. So the Lord, He's expanding Himself, and this is Lord Balaram, Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda is performing the pastime of Sankirtan, just as Srila Prabhupada. Also, He said, I had no hopes. Every time he would go back to the ticket office thinking, okay, I better go back to India now. Nothing's going to happen in this degraded place. But Lord Chaitanya wanted that. He wanted that all of us hear the holy name and that we somehow become attracted. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam kulu nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyata. We're not great philosophers. We're not very intelligent because obviously we've fallen from our spiritual identity, our spiritual world. And the examples the Lord sets is to train us, to show us. There was one schoolmate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who was very much, subservient and respectful to Lord Chaitanya. But he couldn't understand, how is this Lord Nityananda? He's wearing diamonds and jewels and golden, necklaces and bangles and, putting on anklets, or what do you call those, ankle bells, and wearing colorful turbans, and he was like a renunciate, and I don't understand how he is like that. But Lord Chaitanya is expressing that all the jewelry adorning Lord Nityananda, these are the 9 processes of bhakti, of devotional service. The diamonds, the jewels, the gold, and we heard the story of how those thieves and rogues, when they saw the opulent jewelry of Lord Nityananda, when he was staying at whose house? The thieves and rogues, they planned that, okay, we'll wait till Lord Nityananda, they sent a advance party. They were worshipping Chandi, and these thieves and rogues, they were also like jug-highs and mud-highs. Everyone was fearful of them. But they came to steal all the jewelry of Lord Nityananda because he looked so opulently. But that night, Nidra, sleep overcame them. And then they started fighting amongst themselves in the morning time. Well, why you fell asleep? Well, you were sleeping too. So okay, they said, okay, it was something that happened. Next time they came back, there was all these powerful guards all around the house, and they thought, where did these guards come from? How is this happening? And then the third time they tried, then they all went like blind. They were completely blinded, and they fell into the pits and were being bitten, and then Lord Indra sent a storm, and they were freezing, and they're all shivering and cold, and then the leader of all the dacoits realized, oh, this Lord Nityananda, he must be the Supreme Personality of God. So he surrendered, and offering prayers of submission. Anyway, I'm making a long story short, but this Lord Nityananda's activities, Lord Chaitanya made a prayer that even if Lord Nityananda married a meat-eating girl and was seen at the wine shop, he's still the Supreme Lord. You should never even criticize it. Again and again, he would repeat this prayer. So for us to try to understand and judge the character of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and or disrespect others, it's like someone says, oh, I love my Lord, I worship very nicely, but I don't really care for the devotees. Lord Chaitanya doesn't like that. He said, one who disrespects my devotees, I will not accept that so-called devotion. So the examples of humility and teaching us the principles of devotional service, of how we can, even though we may not want to, envy, jealousy, many, many things are there. We hear every morning that offer respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are an ocean of mercy, who are, very kind, ready to fulfill the desires of all the devotees. That vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So Lord Nityananda, the topmost Vaishnava, he's the Supreme Lord, and these days of the Lord's appearance are helping us to again rekindle our determination and desire to go back home, back to the spiritual kingdom, and appreciate my Lord, my Father. He's come to again retrieve me, even though I was so obstinate. We've seen how when someone turns into a teenager, they sometimes, oh, my father and mother, they're old-fashioned, they don't know much of anything. You become very, proud and sometimes even belligerent, speaking very harshly. So in one sense, we've turned our back thinking, oh, let me on my own enjoy this world. Although Krishna is providing all the ingredients, isn't it? What's the body made of? Earth, bhumi rapanalo vayukang manobuddhirevacha. Krishna's producing the water, the fire, the air, the earth, and everything, and giving all facility to all of us to try to be happy. But he's telling that give it all up. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekang sharanang vraja. Aham tvam sarvapapyavyo mokshayashami masuchaham. That give up all our ideas of happiness in this world and come back to me. So Nityananda, Ram, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they're performing the activity, as we heard in this beautiful prayer, of Nama Sankirtan. Lord Nityananda and his associates would just all day and night be chanting and dancing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performing such wonderful pastimes. But when he told Lord Nityananda that you don't come every year to see me, you go out and you preach this message. Sometimes temple presidents use this line that, look, you can't go to India every year. It says so in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Lord Chaitanya told Lord Nityananda, go out and preach, not come every year. But Lord Nityananda said, how can I live without having your association, without being with you? Oh, whenever you are chanting, I will be there. Whenever Mother Sachi cooks, I'll come and take prasad with you. Yeah. And it said that the Lord would manifest himself to those who had the eyes and the vision to see. So when we're chanting the Lord's holy name together, the Lord's there. We're glorifying Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda here, trying to glorify. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, they're here. And the intense love that Mother Sachi had for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she's the eternal mother. Mother Yashoda is Mother Sachi Devi. Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, Balaram, Lord Nityananda. So all the associates, the Lord doesn't come alone. He sends his eternal associates because although the Lord expanding himself and having intimate relation with Subal, Sudam, Sridam, and all the rest, he goes, when Lord Nityananda went off with all his associates, these are all the eternal cowherd boys. The mood of the Brijabasis is very highly elevated. When Uddhava came to deliver the message of Krishna, he was appreciating the intense love that Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda had. What to speak of the cowherd boys and the gopis, the feelings of separation. So we may try to understand, we should not imitate, we should follow in the footsteps of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the devotees, and hear the message of the Lord that we need to, again, awaken that love for Krishna. Pray with intense desire that please pick me up from this ocean of birth and death and place me one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Otherwise we're stuck in this material existence. And if we waste the human form of life by not taking up this Sankirtan mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Srila Prabhupada, he's given it to us on a silver platter. Just as the Goswami scrutinizingly studied all the various scriptures, because the other day we were hearing that this philosophy and that philosophy, but we need the faith and the determination to know that the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad-Gita, what Krishna in the form of Vedavyas has given us, and the Guru Parampara, the disciplic succession from Brahma to Narada to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we should not think about, oh, it's my duty to go searching here, there, and everywhere. Let me study this Shastra and this philosophy and that philosophy, because that was all done for us. Not that we're blindly following. We should use our intelligence, logic, reason. It's not that we blindly follow. But if one is reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, it was described that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to visit Gadadhar, he was doing recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, reading and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Well, he stopped that recitation to meet Lord Nityananda and wash his lotus feet and give it to his family. And so Srila Prabhupada is pushing us, read my books, that the more we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we hear Chaitanya Charitamrita, the more we chant the holy name, the more we can show respect to others, the more we can develop the qualities of Vaishnavas, the more we can increase. Prabhupada said, what is the first principle of devotional service? Enthusiasm, utsaha. Without enthusiasm for getting out of this entanglement and darkness, there's no hope. So Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, very enthusiastically for days, hours, would be dancing and chanting, and this is what the Lord was doing. And then when the Lord would hear the beautiful verses of Bhagavatam, of the gopis' separation from Krishna, he would be stunned. And this is, we need to have that attraction. It may not be there, but still, out of good logic and good sense, that every day I want to hear Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada's order, the order of the spiritual master, carries all the spiritual weight with it. Isn't it? The other day, one devotee was saying, every day come to Mangalarti, whether you walk or you crawl. And he came late one time. I said, did you crawl? But of course, this is just the reason when the doctor sees that someone has a severe case, a disease, that you must follow very strictly the diet. Otherwise, you're finished, and you take your medicine. So we're being given the medicine of the holy name, but also hearing these incredible pastimes of compassion of Lord Nityananda, the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is something that's meant to arouse our feelings of enthusiasm that, yes, I want to follow the order of my spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada is the spiritual master of everyone. And his sincere followers are also bringing. But I read something today about, in 69, Srila Prabhupada wrote to Prahladnanda Maharaj, saying that in the future, you will also have to take on this responsibility of spreading this message of Krishna consciousness. So we're not limited thinking that, oh, I missed an opportunity. We all have the opportunity to serve Prabhupada, to hear from Prabhupada, and to get the blessings of the Guru, Srila Prabhupada. But the more we hear and the more we understand what are the qualities of Vaishnava, what is the love and compassion of Chaitanya and Nityananda, and why all the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assisted him to come here and perform the activities of the Sankirtan mission, then we should feel engladdened, enlivened that I'm a part of the most incredible society, not just some brainwashing cult or some fad. This is the most authentic, historic, logical, reasonable, and the depth of philosophical understanding which is being given to us is incredible. And so we feel overjoyed to be part of the army of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Srila Prabhupada's camp, infantry. So we're going to have a beautiful Abhishek whenever a great personality, especially on Janmastami and Radhastami, so all the different appearance days of the Lord, and great personalities, when they come, you bathe them. Lord Nityananda was sat on a golden throne, and he instructed all his followers, do Abhishek. So they were pouring the water of the Ganges and and doing Abhishek for Lord Nityananda. So we'll be doing an Abhishek for the Lord, and the Lord, He's there and He'll see. So when we're chanting for the Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, they will notice. If you pray to someone sincerely, just like Jagai and Madhai, they were going to be killed, but because of their prayer of sincerity, because they were awakened from their madness, their illusion, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu naturally became compassionate. Lord Nityananda is the ocean of mercy, very, very compassionate. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda will give us special blessings on this particular day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So all of us can join together in the chanting of Krishna's holy name. If the kirtan group can get their kirtan ready, we can all participate in that. Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful, very analytical analysis of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's manifestation and how Lord Nityananda came as the older brother, so he didn't have to find himself in an awkward situation, but still Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are the most merciful incarnations of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Shri Nityananda Rama Ki Jai.